Hello, I'm Scott, the breathing guy. I'll train you to locate, generate, activate core key breathing in physical activity. This is the video series, Driver Swimming with Key Energy. And this one here, this video series is addressing Lesson 1. That's the idea of Lesson 1, Stage 1. That's address and taking the club back. And I'm going to deal, and one of the steps I'm going to deal with how to gain 20 yards without doing anything else, and a whole different dynamic feeling in your club that you may not have had before. My neighbor, who's was like 87 when he changed his clubs out to what I suggested, will actually testify he got 20 yards just by changing out his club and developing the new grip sensation from it. And it's a very simple process. You have to find a place that will do it for you. A place in Palm Desert where I am. I know a place that does it, but anyway. So what am I talking about? What can give you 20 yards? And the most it'll cost you to do this is $10 or less. And that's it. And then how to build off of that with all the other swing techniques. Remember, this is stage 1. Address. Stage 2 is how to bring the club down. Stage 3 is the crossover. Stage 4 is the finish. After you hit the ball, how do you finish, and then post-finishing. I have a whole thing about that. The second lesson, just to remind you, is about the 4 components you need to know. And the third lesson is fitness to swing, introducing you to a fitness program that I have created, and it's called MPQ. So let's get to how do you add 20 yards to your swing and more accuracy and enjoyment with your golf club. And I'm going to show you a driver. This is the standard grip. Standard grip. Look at the design. Thick at top and thin enough. The funny thing about it, pros modify this. And why do you want it thick up there? Now remember, in the left hand, which you would grip with this, you only want the little finger strong. You don't want any of the other fingers strong. That's one rule. The closer that little finger is to the palm, the stronger it is. The farther away. So whatever finger is closest to the palm will be the dominant finger in the grip, because it's just natural. You grip. If the index finger is the closest, you want to grip it in it, you'll probably have a little bit more force than the ring finger and the little finger. So the farther away the ring finger is from the palm around the club, the weaker it is, and the weaker your left-hand grip is to do the ergonomics. So when you grip this, look at the little finger. Look how far it is. The ring finger comes the dominant. Now that's not too bad, but it limits your crossover. And then you have the equal right here is the middle finger. You don't want that. And the reason why, these 3 fingers activate the bicep. You only want to activate the tricep, the back of your arm in the driver swing, because you want the arm straight. If you want the arm straight, you will need to activate the tricep. That's a new concept, but that's what it does. So this is the standard. Now, some of the pros, what they do, they actually choke down like this so they can get the finger here. So if I choke down a little bit, I'm getting closer. But then in some of the other pros, they really build up this area, these fingers, so pull this finger away. It's intuitive because they don't want this finger involved. It's sort of like their crossover, their grip action is weak. So I'm planning to tell you to change this something. You can test this. And I recommend 3 clubs to test it on. The driver, the sand wedge particularly, and even a chipping, small putt chipping, because it will give you more control because it focuses on the right hand. In this program, the left hand brings the club to the ball, but it's the right hand that hits the ball, strike, just like a baseball bat. The left brings the bat to the ball, but it's the right hand, the right arm, side of the body has to strike the ball. And so I'm making a suggestion. Reverse the club, literally reverse the grip. Put the thicker down here, the thinner up here. This is what you do. And I call it the baseball grip, because how does the baseball bat work? You got thin at the butt for the left hand and thicker as it goes up, because then when you grab it, man, that right hand, that gives you something to beef. You can really swing it tighter. And it's small around here, your little finger can go around it easier. You don't need these other fingers because it's not so far. It is closer to circling. You don't want any extra tape. For males, you can get a regular or an extra large. In fact, sometimes I recommend an extra large for the sandwich, because that way it amplifies the right hand going through the sand better. It also makes you feel your hand action between right and left more dynamically. The contrast, because what do you want the right hand to do and what do you want the left hand to do when you're striking the ball? Understanding purpose of the club head in striking the ball is the key component there. And the more you can make that cross snap through and give more force or more control with the right hand, the greater ability to manipulate the club and be consistent. You make the right hand weak, it's so easy to go right or left. As my neighbor's son experienced this last weekend, he was out there on the course with his father. His father's in his 80s, he's in his 60s, and his clubs. He would hit to the right, to the left, good distance, but yeah. So his father loaned him some of his clubs, the 5-iron, 8, stuff like that. All of a sudden, he was hitting perfectly straight, because his right hand was stronger, firmer within the grip itself. Test what I say, don't do. Find someone that will reverse it. It's relatively simple, no extra tape. Find when you pick up one of the grips, like there was, it cost you $10 to test it. Test on the driver, a sand wedge area before you change all the clubs out. Work with it. Feel, waggle. See how you can snap through. How much better feeling. It's like a baseball bat. Can you imagine a baseball in reverse where you have thin at the top where the bat's thick above and it's thicker at the base? This is what they do. And have you ever asked why they create the grip that way in the first place? Convenience. There's no, it doesn't help the hand ergonomics. This is about hand ergonomics I'm dealing with. So why not have it simulate to more like a baseball bat than making your hands weak? Contrary, make it harder to hit the ball because the way you shape this, the grip. Test what I say, check it out. Cost you all about $10 and get an old driver, switch it over, go get a cheap grip or an extra grip around you have, put it on there, play with it. See how it feels, how you can snap through better involved, especially with all the other clubs and irons, how much more control you have. It's a big, you're changing the grip, therefore you change everything. Ben Hogan in his book, 5 Lessons, goes into the value of the grip really, really well. That's the first chapter of the 5 chapters in his book, in the golf swing, the hands. Understanding how to utilize your hands is so important to golf swing. It makes the action of the club head work. If you have poor hands, weak hands, I don't care what the body does, it can't transfer the force into the hands, you're weak. That's all. Inefficient. A lot of effort and low performance. I want low effort, high performance. And the better you can make your hands transmit your force, into the club head itself. And this enhances that ability, I argue. That's my position. I'll back it up. Test it and see for yourself. It's real simple, and you can get more fancy later on, but just as a basic, verify what I'm saying involved. Next video series we're going to go through a little bit more is how to take the club back on there. And I'm going to only use, when you take you want the left arm straight. How do you make it straight? And you only want to pull it back with the middle finger. Why? Because that works the bicep. So you get hard and soft. Tricep, take the back for the straight left arm, bicep for the right hand, and how to move it back. So I'm going to give you a new process to give you maybe an extra 6 or a foot more club distance just from the way you take the club back. It's a whole different process. because what you want to strive for is the separation between shoulders and hip. And how do you do that? What's the sensation? What makes the greatest separation between shoulder and hips? 1. 2, how can you use your hands to get an extra, like maybe a foot, 12 inches from what your club is here, up more? And we will discuss it. I will show you a process. You can test it. That's the key point. But this is a suggestion. It works. Fine. Test it and you will see. But it's natural. It's just like a baseball bat grip. That's all. And that people have been doing that for a long time too. So look at the difference between the two here. What a difference. It's always about the little finger in the down here, because that makes the tricep stronger. And here, and which one would produce that effect more, and which would give you more beef in that right hand, so you got something to push that club through. A thinner skin part of the grip or a much thicker, so it fills that right hand up. The separation between what left hand does, right hand does, to strike the ball doing the crossover is the key point to transfer the force of the body into the club head itself to strike the ball. Anyway, look for the next video. Driver swing mechanics with key energy, stage 1. No, that's my mistake. Lesson 1, stage 1, taking the club back.